I want to call in my friend who has agreed to share his experience, his direct experience of being a fire dancer and walking through the fire and not getting burned, not even getting the feathers on his regalia burned. And these are two different ways of rising from the ashes. You know, we hear about rising from the ashes, and my Selagi birth sign is the heron, which is like the phoenix. This is our version of the phoenix that rises from the ashes. And that's why my name that was given by Grandmother Raven is Dances with Death, because I've done that so many times in my life. To be with Thomas on his land near Bakersfield, California, and also to share with us his experience of dancing with the fire and not being burned.
Haku, you guys there?
Aku, Thomas, yeah, we're
Good.
happy to see you. We're here.
All right. So, like, first of all, I entered this with Aku. Aku in our language is is breath. It's also the word Saku is in there, which means that you respect. So it's kind of like you respect a person's life because your life exists from your beginning breath all the way to your last breath while you're in this body, pretty much. So earlier I was having a problem trying to balance because when I came down to the one area, I seen that the deer had got control of things last night and was eating all the foods that we had prepared for breakfast. And then along came the horse and decided she wanted some too. And then I switched up to the lodge up here and the horse came up here. And then we had wind and all kinds of problems getting our fire going. And I'm not sure about your guys' circle and stuff. I'm trying to learn. But I was first introduced to the fire. We had a flame of peace that was ignited over in Kansas back in 1986. And the chumash my people, the flame came out here where we're the keepers of the Western Gate. I'm hearing all kinds of noise, so I don't know if I'm here or not. No, it's okay.
You're good. You're good. Yeah, thank you. Keep going.
Okay, so we're the keepers of the flame of peace in the West, and that's been since 1986 when it was struck. I was fortunate to meet this lady about 20 years ago or something, and her family was working to take down the Berlin Wall, and her name, I don't remember her whole story, but her name had something to do with peace in it. It was in a different language. So I was able to actually meet her during one of these different summits that I go to periodically for peace and stuff. So I was honored that way, and I'm honored here now to be part of you guys' circle, starting up with your 8 fires and stuff, and um, try and unite all of our people. Because a lot of times during the winter solstice ceremony, I usually let people know to bring them, if they don't have a fire that they can get to, I advise them to get a candle and burn a candle during that time. Because in our culture, we have 5 non-existent days, and so those days is when we have the fire going consistently. And I've learned how to kind of use a little kerosene lantern sometimes because it gets pretty cold out here. So I'm like, I'll just do that with a little fire representative too to connect with everybody. So one of the things that we would tell these people is to connect to our elders' fire. You know, we had some people, and the fire would be in our hearts. And I wasn't quite an elder when I started saying that. Now I'm one. But that's what I would say. This is our elders, our fire in our hearts and stuff. And I heard somebody say earlier about love is important because love is haku. Love is our breath of life. And that's how we connect with everything, animals, the plant people, all things is with our breath. And that was the thing, like when we were talking earlier about like I danced with the fire. Okay, I was one of the first ones of our traditional dancers that could actually dance into the fire. And I was getting a pretty big ego about that. Really thought I was something special. And one day I was going into the forest where I had one of my people up on the hill to doing a vision quest, and this one tree kind of called me to the side, and I went over there and was talking to it. And it's like, you really think you're special, don't you? And I'm like, of course, you know, I can dance in the fire and everything. Nobody else in my tribe can do it. And they've been trying and trying. They just can't get it together. And for some reason, I thought I had gotten it together. Um, Also, I was dancing with a bearskin that kind of got appropriated from some university or something like that. So I was dancing with that as well. And so I felt protected. And then this tree was like, well, you're so special. Can you stand in a fire and be burned? And then still continue to be here and give life, come back to life in that. And I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not gonna stand in a fire. You think I'm crazy? I'm gonna move through that, and I'm gonna dance, but I'm gonna move. And so this tree's going, well, can you stand here for a couple of years? I'm like, no, I can't. Stop messing with me. Just leave me alone. I gotta go about my business. So that was one of my experiences. It was very humbling because after a while, I started thinking about some stuff that was in the conversation with the tree myself. And so, I mean, there's a lot to learn out there, and sometimes we have to be really careful about it. I know I do, about getting the ego and getting too far out there with the ego. And fortunately, like here, like having this piece of land now, I received it because somebody who was supposed to be working with training us, had kind of went against some of the stuff we believed in. And so they're saying that the animals that we're rescuing and all that, and myself, we're all evicted. And so my other friends, they helped me to find this land here and help, to buy it so that there would, by myself, nor the animals would ever get evicted. And so a couple of years ago, I finally paid off the last of the loan. And then COVID happened. And right at the time of COVID happened, this one guy had contacted me, and he had said, hey, man, there's a restaurant and they got closed down, but they got some deer that were going to be, served up over there. And now the deer have nowhere to go. And he goes, you got $3,000? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, give it to me and I'll deliver the deer to you. I'm like, okay. So they brought the deer here, and they were supposedly, these deer were atlas deer. They're supposed to be like spotted deer with these big old long antlers. And when they showed up, my neighbors had told me those aren't atlas. They're something else. And they're a little bit small, and because we were going to create another form of yoga. We were going to, like, let's do atlas yoga. Those are different poses and stuff that we could do. And instead of doing goat yoga, we'll do atlas. But I'm like, okay, so we don't have atlas deer. Now what are we going to do? And then the one deer, she had a baby, and it was a white one. And she meant to be a white buck. And next year, another white one. And it had a little red nose, and we were like, oh, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And so that's where we're at now. Now this buck is white. His nose is kind of a little bit pinkish, but we didn't really interact with him. We tried to keep him wild in a way because the government said that they needed to be registered and all this stuff. So they're here. They're under our protection, but sometimes they're a little bit too free. Even though we're letting them run 20 acres, and that there's a lot of different vegetation for them to eat. But they want whatever humans have. And it's kind of like when they were saying earlier, they reminded me of when they're saying that we're all, humans in different ways in different time periods. And these ones, they're here. I don't know how they're going to unite us or what they're going to do for us, but I know for sure that they're here and that they're more special than I am. I'm just a guardian here, just a caretaker. But I wanted to share that with you guys to know that there is other beings here that are legitimate, no outer space beings or nothing like that where people talk about. These are beings here that have been here the whole time we've been here. And they're sacred. So with that there, and then the fire here, we have a lot of sacred things. We have a lot of wonderful gifts in this lifetime. I mean, most of us I've seen, we're all in that age where we were involved with the Cold War. We knew about it. Now we got little trickery stuff going on now, and just trying to mess us up. But the thing is we have, no matter how long we're here, we have a lot of wonderful things, and that's, I guess, what you would talk about, like with the Phoenix Rising. We just have all these things here, all these blessings. So again, I want to say haku to you guys, and thank you for listening. Oh.